Okay, so today what I thought we would do after the massive reveal from last night is go over the gameplay they showed for Resident Evil 4, talk about it, give off some impressions, break down what's new to the game, as well as kind of my overall thoughts of the game so far. If any of you have any thoughts that are different to mine, let me know. What do you think of Resident Evil 4 so far, from what we've seen? I think it looks pretty damn good. So without any further ado, let's just jump into the video and go over what's new with the game. So straight out the gate, we see Leon going through the very first house you go through at the beginning of RE4, and you can tell straight away that the tone for the remake is definitely a lot more horror focused. The original game, yes, the opening of the game was quite nerve-wracking and genuinely quite scary if you're playing it for the first time through, but this time around they've really gone for a lot more of a horror, darker tone, which I've always said the remake would be, and it definitely shows. Like, it looks really good, it looks grim, and there's a lot more sinister stuff going on in this house than when you played through the original game. And then we get our first look at the first Ganado that spawns in the game by the look of it, and it's definitely a bit of a difference compared to the original game. Like, when he comes down the stairs, he is messed up, like his head's on sideways and it's sprawling at you, and it looks really grim. One thing I'll notice about the break free, you have an option to spam X or use a knife, and it looks like from the UI the knife has a usage limit, same as the 2 remake and the 3 remakes, which is interesting, and I'll talk more about that later. But that's an interesting change. Also, just briefly here, it might not be anything, but it does seem like maybe there's some kind of sneak mechanics now. That could be pretty cool, especially for later on parts of the game when there's a lot of enemies around. Maybe you do have the option to just sneak around instead, which would be pretty cool to see. And then jumping forward just a little bit through the gameplay demo, we have the iconic opening sequence of the game in the village, and it definitely looks like they're very much set on kind of keeping the original feel of the main game, because you are overwhelmed. You are on limited supplies, there's a lot of them. One thing that was briefly said in the showcase was that the Ganados in the 4 remake have more ways to track you down and to fight you. They're a lot more smart, which is very good. You also see the roundhouse kick is still very much in the game, and I gotta say, just again, the game looks incredible. Like, YouTube doesn't really help with the quality of the video, but the game looks amazing. And there's still some of that Leon banter in there with that little scene there, which is pretty cool. Again, you can still leap over fences and stuff like that. Seems like they've kept a lot of that original movement in the game. I genuinely think this part of the game was the best thing to show, because it really shows you basically all of the mechanics in the game straight away without you being fully prepared. Like, you can do everything, you can fight everything, but you have like no bullets and no ammo. There's like 2 guns, and of course Dr. Salvador turns up, and he looks amazing in this game. He looks really cool. The design of him now, it's still basically the same, but it looks so much more grim. Like, the one thing people were concerned about was honestly how you played the game, like, how you can kind of leap through every window and climb up stuff and stuff like that, and people were expecting it to be more grounded like 2 and 3, but they've really kept it pretty much the same in terms of gameplay. You can go up on the rooftops, you can kick enemies, you can, jump through windows and shit like that, and that's all still there, which is really cool. Also, it seems to be that there's a lot more Ganados in general, it seems. I think there's definitely a few more, and they're definitely a bit more aggressive. Like, a lot of the time in the original 4, if you're on normal, they'll kind of stand around for a little bit before they do anything, but in this one they seem to just come at you straight away, which is really cool to see. And finally, in this last little section, we do see a new mechanic that's in the game, where you can parry with your knife. I'll just let it run out really quickly now. So he obviously gets out of the grab, Dr. Salvador comes at him, and you can literally just stop the chainsaw with your knife, which is pretty cool. Again, knives seem to have a limited amount of uses, so this might be a one-time thing, and it does seem to break the knife at the end of the gameplay, but yeah. Alright, so let's throw in some of my own thoughts into there. So first of all, the game looks incredible, and it definitely did live up to the fact that they're going to make this game a lot more of a horror-focused game, and it'd be a bit more serious. Obviously, we did hear a bit of banter from Leon, so that's still present there, and that's good to see, because it's part of Resident Evil 4's charm, but the game is definitely setting itself up, from the gameplay we've seen and the new trailer that released, to be a lot more serious in tone. I think that's really most obvious from the new trailer we got yesterday. It's basically a story trailer for people who maybe haven't played the game before, and it does introduce us to some more characters we haven't seen. We get our first look at Luis, we get our first look at Salazar, we get our first look at Ada, and, they all look great. Salazar is a big change. I think he definitely looks a lot different, but that was the one part of the game I was more expecting to be different, if you know what I mean. Like, I think the castle part of the game, and more importantly the island, which we haven't seen any of yet by the look of it, is going to see the most changes. But it looks fine, it looks good, and obviously we'll see more of it closer to launch. couple of things that were also shown briefly in the showcase as well as talked about were the merchant, the attach case, and how you find ammo and such like that. And to be honest, the resource gathering is basically the same. You've got crates and drawers you can search to find ammo and money. The attach case is one thing that I think people are kind of mixed on at the moment, because it looks like Resident Evil 4's attach case, but it seems to act like Villages, where every item is kind of like a square box instead of it being unique to the shape of it, which is 50-50. It looks like Resident Evil 4's. You know, it's not like a grey box anymore, it's more like things have their own tone, their own colours and stuff like that, so that's cool. But it seems to act very much like Villages, which isn't an issue, but I know that people really did like how it worked in the original game. With the merchant, he looks incredible, sounds great, and he does exactly the same as what you would think he would do. You know, he sells you weapons, you can sell him treasures, and there's a new system where you can trade with him as well. Like, you find certain things throughout the game, and he has unique offers for you if you bring him that stuff, which is really cool to see, a nice addition to him as well. Overall, the game looks incredible, the gameplay looks amazing, and I can't wait to see more of it. I'm very surprised at how good it looks. Again, gameplay looks incredible, and I really do think it's going to live up to the original quite well. Obviously, it will be different, and you can pretty much tell that straight out of the gate with the trailers and the gameplay we've seen. But it's not a bad thing. At the end of the day, if it all is said and done and you prefer the original experience, the original is still there, so you can still play it. You have two versions of the game now. But overall, very excited for it. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If your thoughts are different to mine, let me know. If you have your own thoughts, leave them in the comments as well. And yeah, we are a few months away from release, but we've got a lot of information to go off of, and there's still more videos I want to make about the information we've received over the past 24 hours about Resident Evil 4, so keep an eye out for those. If you are interested at all in those, remember to subscribe to the channel and turn notifications on so you do not miss a Resident Evil upload. We also have a lot of videos coming up about the Silent Hill projects that were announced, Village DLC, as well as Reverse, which is going to be playable in literally a couple of days. So thank you all for coming by, leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you in the next one.